Itá Consortium's commitment with society is to generate clean and sustainable energy. Our responsibility goes beyond generating energy. It materializes into actions towards the environment, caring for people, and supporting the development of our country. Environmental education is both our partner and our main ally in the main projects we carry out. Our mission is to sustainably generate energy for the development of Brazil. Established in 1995, the Itá Consortium is a partnership among big companies for the creation and commercial usage of the Itá hydroelectric power plant. Created by joining 3 companies in the sectors of energy generation, Engie Brasil Energia, Steel, Companhia Siderúrgica Nacional, CSN, and Cement, Cimento Itambé. The Itá Consortium holds the power plant's concession up to the year 2030. Located in between Aratiba, Rio Grande do Sul, and Itá, Santa Catarina, Itá hydroelectric power plant was built in the Uvas return in the Uruguay River. The Itá hydroelectric power plant is among the largest hydropower plants in South Brazil. Its generation capacity is around 30% of all the electric power used in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, or 50% in Santa Catarina. Its first generation unit started operating on July 8, 2000, and the last one in March 2001. Some 7 months ahead of the initial schedule. As a dream since the late 1960s, the Itá hydroelectric power plant has an installed capacity of 1,450 megawatts coming from 5 generator units, being a cornerstone of the national electric sector as the first enterprise to have started operations in the Uruguay River. Along the 141 square kilometers of the Itá hydroelectric power plant's reservoir, there are 11 delimited municipalities: Alto Bela Vista, Arabutã, Concórdia, Ipira, Itá, Peritiba, and Piratuba in Santa Catarina, and Aratiba, Marcelino Ramos, Mariano Moro, and Severiano de Almeida in Rio Grande do Sul. These municipalities were directly affected during the construction of the power plant, and today they reap the benefits of the presence of the Itá Consortium via funds provided as a form of financial compensation. The Uruguay hydrographic region is of great relevance to the country, given its well-developed farming and hydroelectric potential. Along its path, there are large electric power generation enterprises, given the abundance of the Uruguay waters. The rivers Canoas and Pelotas have their sources at the Catarinense Mountains, and when they meet, they form the Uruguay River, which continues running down west until it reaches the Peperiguaçu River, after which it flowing up to the mouth of the Rio de la Plata between Argentina and Uruguay. Its total length is 1,770 kilometers, almost all of it inside Brazil. The first signs of human occupation in this region date back to prehistoric times with indigenous groups from the Caingangue, Xoclaine, and Tupi-Guarani ethnicities. As time progressed, those groups formed the Cabocla population. In the 1920s, the Santa Catarina's government outsourced to private companies the mission of colonizing the region. Thousands of migrants reached Uruguay, either occupying the upper north of Rio Grande do Sul or crossing the river and founding hundreds of communities in Santa Catarina. Among them today's cities of Itá and Concórdia. Until the 1950s, the Uruguay River was the main flow path for logging, in big barges that conquered the river's dangerous and waving waters up to Argentina. With the decline in the logging industry and the development of the transportation infrastructure of the country, the Uruguay River lost its lust. Mostly forgotten until the 1960s, the Uruguay River was then rediscovered to another economic potential: energy generation. Starting in 1979, studies pointed to the Uvas return region, between the municipalities of Aratiba in Rio Grande do Sul and Itá in Santa Catarina, as one of the places with the highest energetic potential in the Uruguay River. In the early 1980s, Eletrosul started the works to relocate the Itá municipality, as well as the regional works towards the future reservoir of the power plant, which included 23 socio-environmental programs. In August 1995, the Itá Consórcio was created with the goal of resuming and finalizing the works for the Itá hydroelectric power plant. Heavy machines and trucks started pouring tons of earth and rock for the construction of the abutment, a type of dam to deviate the course of the river to tunnels to be carved in the existing basaltic rock. This was the starting of one of the biggest construction works in Latin America. In September 1997, with the closing of the abutment, the waters were deviated to the 5 tunnels, leaving the riverbed dry and allowing the start of the works for the dam. At the same time, the earthwork, rock excavation, and the construction of other structures were moving forward. The Itá hydroelectric power plant is a great feat of human ingenuity, with thousands of workers hired and tons of materials employed. The main dam is all made of carefully released and compacted rock and has a thick layer of concrete to seal it. The system developed locally to build the dam became known worldwide as the Itá method. This process used more than 8.7 million tons of rock, with most of it coming from the excavation of the construction place, when it was removed from the tunnels and the locations of the powerhouse and spillways. When the decision to build the Itá hydroelectric power plant was made and the project started, all 11 municipalities that were to be affected by the waters of its lake were living out, fundamentally, from farming. The news that a portion of the land would be flooded alarmed their people, who lived a simple life, deeply attached to their traditions, and particularly depended on those lands to survive. Thus, besides relocating the city of Itá and 36 other rural centers, 23 social environmental programs were also designed, consisting of work on several areas, from protection to fauna and flora, through water quality controls, cleaning of the region to be flooded, relocation of the rural populations, as well as cultural, historical, and archaeological rescue, and helping to prepare the municipalities to explore the lake's tourism potential. Itá was totally rebuilt, in other words. A brand new city was constructed 4 kilometers away from the old center, located alongside the Uruguay River. With new streets, new squares, a new club, new town hall, and new houses. With communities engaged in the participation of the project design, the proposal sought to rescue the characteristics of the local constructions, respecting the population's culture and customs. The addition of the city of Itá and the centers that were relocated and rebuilt, an infrastructure of roads, bridges, and power grid was also built in the projected flood area. Slowly, the reservoir started filling up, and from this time on, a great rescue operation was put in place. Many plants, fish, and wildlife were rescued. They were evaluated and later returned to nature. However, the end of the rescue operation didn't mean the end of caring for nature. Several programs that had been created prior to the start of the works were made permanent, making it viable. A lot of actions to improve the environmental quality of the reservoir and its surroundings. Programs like the weather condition observation, seismological conditions watching and monitoring, and control of slopes, among others, were started and are still live. Fauna and flora get special attention via broad sub-programs, which include the study of species from the Uruguay River, echiofauna monitoring, forest and flower inventory, bromeliad and sarangia studies, in addition to monitoring transplanted species and the species' natural regeneration, as well as a botanic nursery that grows seedlings of native trees. In collaboration with society, the Pacuera Environmental Plan for Conservation and Use of the Artificial Reservoir was written, a document that lays out a long project to turn the region's touristic exploration both viable and organized. This plan ensures a rational use of the flooded area and its surroundings. Besides caring for nature and the lake itself, and the development of projects of social and economic nature, several projects for cultural, architectural, social, historical, and archaeological rescue were carried out. Memory houses were established in all the 11 municipalities that were affected by the Ita hydroelectric power plant, in order to preserve the history of a region that has a rich cultural legacy. In the entire High Uruguay region, new scenery grew in the lake's surroundings. With the creation of the reservoir and historical rescue, the municipalities gained new social and economic perspectives with increased tourism and new businesses. With the creation of environmental projects and permanent conservation areas, fauna and flora in the region are being restored and gradually being returned to future generations. Environmental education programs are awakening, mainly in the children, a new mode of life interaction with nature. The concern with environmental conservation is present in all projects developed by the Ita Consortium, which sees investment and compromise with environmental conservation actions a priority. Still in the year 1986, the Ita hydroelectric power plant botanic nursery was created with the goal of providing seedlings to be planted in the new city of Ita. Nowadays, its production is used for the restoration of degraded areas, the protection of riverheads, maintenance of the Ita hydroelectric power plant reservoir's riparian forest stretch, and environmental education actions in the delimited municipalities. The botanical nursery is capable of producing 100,000 seedlings per year, all from geo-referenced master trees surrounding the reservoir. The botanical nursery also helps with environmental education via its Serelepe Trail and many visual displays explaining the natural seedlings production process and rainwater reuse system. As an environmental compensatory measure for having started this enterprise, 2 conservation units were also created by the Ita Consortium. The Fritz Plowman State Park, located in Concordia, Santa Catarina, with approximately 741 hectares, and the Teixeira Soares Uruguay River Natural Forest Municipal Park in Marcelino Ramos, Rio Grande do Sul, with approximately 423 hectares. These conservation units have several trails that allow their visitation. Established in 2001, the CDA Environmental Promotion Center aims at communicating Ita hydroelectric power plant's social environmental programs and allowing communities to get involved in environmental actions via presentations, visitations, and courses. As of 2016, 530,000+ people had been reached by a multitude of CDA activities. Beside the CDA activities, the Ita Consortium also carries out a project called Lake Neighbors, with the main goal of fostering communication between people in the delimited cities and the enterprise. Yet, another important activity is the maintenance central that develops actions towards restoring the riparian forest stretch in the surroundings of the reservoir. The Ita Consortium seeks to keep an effective communication with the population nearby the reservoir, and for that, since 2004, it counts on the Green Line 0800 645 5800 to provide explanations and to fulfill a variety of requests. This fine-tuning is very important because the proximity with the enterprise makes it possible to meet the expectations of the delimited communities. The Ita hydroelectric power plant helped the region's population to find a new form of energy, the energy of reinvigorated dreams.